Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me in a new video. So in today's video I'm demonstrating a landscape in soft pastels and pastel pencils on pastel mat. And this drawing is quite special because I'm using only 12 colors. So 12 different colors for a whole landscape, and my goal was to make it look semi-realistic. This drawing was actually a part of my drawing with soft pastel course for beginners, and you can still purchase the course in the description. It's available in English and in Dutch. So yeah, if you're starting out with soft pastels, it teaches you everything you need to know when you're starting out. So thank you so much for your support, and I'd really love to see your results if you're purchasing it. So I wanted to post the sped up version for you guys, and I think it's so important when you're starting out with a new medium that you are starting out with a limited color palette. And this is what I've always done when starting out with something new. When I started with soft pastels, I got a small set. When I started with colored pencil, I started out with a very small set. Watercolors, very small set as well. And this teaches you to blend and mix the colors and really optimize the way you're using the medium. And of course it prevents you from wasting a lot of money if you turn out to not like the medium. So the soft pastel brand I'm using is Koh-i-Noor, which is a pretty cheap brand. And I love the vibrancy of the colors, so I would really recommend this brand if you're starting out, if you want to try soft pastels. And the pastel brand, the pastel pencil brand I'm using is Stabilo, which are also pretty affordable. Pastel pencils are quite expensive overall, but the Stabilo ones I feel are very affordable, and I love the vibrancy of the pencils as well, and they're pretty easy to sharpen as well. So definitely would recommend those. But other good brands are the Pitt pastel pencils from Faber-Castell, and I like those from Koh-i-Noor as well. I wouldn't recommend the Derwents. I haven't had many good experiences with the Derwents, so wouldn't recommend the Derwents, but others like Faber-Castell and Stabilo and Koh-i-Noor are very good brands. I am working on beige pastel mat. The color of the paper doesn't really matter, but I do like to sketch out my sketch in white. And of course, if you're working on white, you don't see the sketch. So I wouldn't recommend white as your surface, but any other color like gray, brown, blue, it's all possible. So I started out by filling in the sky. I'm working from background to foreground. So I start out with the sky, and then I draw the tree on top, and then I finish with the hill. And this is just personal preference. You can also start out with the hill and then end with the sky, but then you have a bigger chance of creating a mess. So if you would have to draw the sky around the tree and the hill, you would take the chance of not really getting everything in there or smudging the edges of the tree. So I'm starting out with the sky, and for the sky I used the two blues in the set. There are only two blues, so I had to mix those to create a base color for the sky. And then the sky looked way too vibrant, so I had to mix in a lot of white with it. And with the white I also built up the shape of the clouds, and then I mixed some of the purple in the sky to tone down the vibrancy of the sky, create some more color difference in the sky. And then finally, to create more depth in the sky, I added black. So with black I would be kind of careful, but because I didn't have a good shadow color for the sky, I had to put some black on my finger and carefully add the black to the top of the sky, and that made the sky darker. And it created some depth in it as well. So when using such little colors, you really need to mix and blend, otherwise you won't get a realistic result. So very good exercise to do if you're just starting out. It really teaches you how to use the materials. So then after the sky was done, I moved on with the tree, and the tree had a lot of texture in it. So what I did is I picked one of the greens from the set, the lightest green, and I just started tapping onto the paper. And that automatically creates the shape of the leaves. So I put down a base layer of that green, and then I started adding brown and yellow, and just kept on tapping the colors onto the paper. I started out with the outlines of the tree, and then I saved the inside, like the branches and the trunk, for last. So you can see that I'm filling in the inside now. What I first do is put in the color of the sky and leave some spaces open for the branches. And then with the black pastel pencil, I'm drawing in the shapes of the branches. And I'm working in this order just to keep everything super clean. I'm also using the black pencil to create some more shadow in between the leaves. And then finally, to create some highlights in the leaves, I used yellow. And then the tree was mostly finished, but I also had to draw in the trunk, of course. You can see that I've used so many colors for the tree. I used almost all the colors from the set except red, so that was really fun. I drew in the trunk of the tree with the brown from the set. And of course, in the course you also see the reference photo. You get to download the reference photo, which you can have beside you. But on the reference photo, the trunk of the tree was not completely black. It was more of a brownish color. So that's why I filled in the trunk with the brown, and then I added the shadow with the black. And then finally, it was time to move on to the hill. And this was a challenge because it took a lot of mixing and blending to get the right color. I started with a base layer of the darkest green in the set, and then I added the lighter green on top, and then also a lot of yellow and some brown. So if you're using only green, it will look very cartoonish. So to get a realistic result, I had to mix in a lot of yellow, some brown, a bit of orange to get enough depth in there. So what I'm doing when adding the brown is not directly adding the brown with the soft pastel, but I'm drawing the brown onto my finger, and then with my finger smudge in the brown with the green on the paper. And this way you don't get those harsh brown lines, which takes a while to smudge out. But when you're drawing it on your finger and then onto the paper, you can create subtle color changes, which gives you a lot more control. So if you just want to add a touch of another color onto the paper, just put some on your finger and then draw with your finger on the paper. And then I kept on adding more brown, more yellow to get rid of that vibrant green. And then I started adding the individual pieces of grass, and I did that with yellow. And this takes some patience. So I'm just drawing in all those little grasses. Also make sure to make some grass stick out on the upper edge of the hill. I didn't want that line to be too clean. Some areas are lighter than others, so I add more yellow on the areas that I want to be highlighted, and I kept the shadowy areas a lot darker. So the whole drawing took about 3 hours to complete. The whole real-time process with explanation is available in the course, together with another project which you can do. If you've done the course, feel free to email me your results or to tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see your results. I'm so sorry for my voice, by the way. I am a little bit ill, so my voice is not completely how it should be. It's a bit cracky, a bit scruffy. So the final detail in the drawing was to add in the shadow of the tree. And I did that with the black pastel pencil because the pencil gives you more control than the soft pastel. So I drew in the shape of the shadow with the pastel pencil just lightly, and then I added some brown on top to create some more color into the shadow, and then added some light hairs on top just to make the shadow blend in with the rest of the grass. You don't want to make it look like a separate thing. It has to blend in to make it look like a shadow. And then the drawing was completed, did some final touches here and there on the sky and on the grass, and then I had to remove the tape. So when removing the tape, be very careful. Don't rush that. Pick your tape and move it away from the paper and slowly downwards, and that creates a really nice edge on your paper, which looks very professional. So I would always recommend to tape down your paper like this. It also makes the drawing much easier to handle, and then you can safely frame it or store it away. And that's basically it for this video. If you'd like to know more about the course, there's a link in the description with more information. Let me know if you want to see more landscapes in pastels, because I'd love to do more, definitely for winter. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.